All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Good movers today in the markets. Very much the continuation of kind of the bounce here. So from testing 6,300, what I've been looking for is that we move back and kind of kiss the 200 SMA, which is currently 6,650, and now that's only about 35 points away. From there, though, I do think that the market's going to struggle, and we're not going to go straight up from there. We're going to get a probably about a 50% pullback into the zone. But for now, the path of least resistance is higher into that level. All right. And so that's what I'm looking for there. And so some of the questions then, okay, all right, so that's for the S&Ps. What about the NASDAQ? NASDAQ, same story. I mean, they're moving together here. Most stocks are moving together here with a few exceptions. Tesla has been an exception here. While the markets have bounced pretty good, Tesla made new trend lows here. It did recover by the end of the day, but certainly under some pressure here and is leading the Mag 7s lower. And then if we go through and we look at some of the other stocks here, note that, we're talking about some of these stocks indexes getting back to their 200 SMA, right? Well, Tesla's way, way, way far away from its 200 SMA, and so is Meta. So let's look at these other Mag 7s here. And Microsoft is kind of DOA here as well. So you've got Tesla, Tesla, Meta, Microsoft really not contributing anything to this rally at all. And then on the other hand, we've got Nvidia, which is essentially moving with the market. Okay, so NDX, SPX, they're nearing their 200 SMA. Guess what? Nvidia is doing about the same thing. Amazon, actually a lot weaker, but trying to catch a bid here, but one of the kind of the dead ones here. And then we come to Apple, which today probably on the greatest buying opportunity I've ever seen for a stock, for a reason for it to sell off, and the stupidest reason I've ever heard for a stock like Apple to sell off was that their folding screen thing was delayed, and so it's off like by 12 points. Like that's going to impact the company at all. So we did buy that today at the 200 SMA in the room. It's like those are gifts, and you just gotta, when you see those gifts, you just gotta, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. You just want to take that for what it is. So nice buy there on Apple at the 200 SMA. And then finally with the Mag 7 leading up is Google, the only one here, I think, besides Apple, that's been comfortably above the 200 SMA. Hasn't even tested it yet. And in fact, we're kind of now back up above the 55. And so what you look for in a situation like this for Google, it takes a long time to go back and see that again. But you can see here, we kind of, same thing. The only exception here is it was below the 200, right? But once you kind of turn and you get the red coat of death to turning into the green zone of opportunity, that's when things get really interesting. And so for the Mag 7, that'll most likely, I can't imagine a different scenario here, be Google. And then we can kind of get a situation where of all the Mag 7s, I think Google is by far and away the one that's going to make new highs before anyone else. AVGO, really solid move today through its 200 SMA, up 6% on the day, and just very, very, very solid action. I mean, you see something like that, that's what a reversal, a more permanent reversal in a stock looks like when it gaps up and closes at the highs. This is something where if you get any opportunity to buy it back at the 200 SMA, which is only about 5 points below, it's certainly a great, great, great entry. And then not surprisingly, Oracle just treading water here. Probably it's found its mean revision here. Cutting 30,000 people didn't help. The market is just not buying whatever Oracle is smoking at the moment. From there, in terms of just kind of looking at a couple of random stocks I like to look at to kind of get a taste of what's going on in the markets. McDonald's here coming off. Well, why is it coming off? It's not so much company specific as McDonald's suddenly isn't quite looking like a safe haven, maybe that it once was. All the things there. If we look at something like Walmart, not too long ago, 52-week highs, Walmart's held up fantastically. And what's interesting today, it's come down pretty hard. And and again, something like that where money is kind of coming out of a safe stock like Walmart and going into AVGO, I think that's interesting. And then I like looking at ZScaler here because it's a poster child of the software stocks that are just being decimated by the advent of AI. And if you've played around with Codex or Claude Code at all, you understand why. And it's just, this is just hard. Someone was asking me about this the other day, and I'm like, would you buy it here? And the answer that I have to that, and this is from years and years and years of pain and suffering and learning this the hard way, is that if you had, say, 3 bets for the rest of this year that you could place, would this qualify as one of them? And to me, the answer is absolutely not. Just if you're looking for other opportunities and things like that too. So always consider that. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you have to do it. Let's take a look at the bond market. Bond market here was off by 18, 19 ticks and then reversed. And again, keep in mind as bonds go lower, interest rates go higher and vice versa. So interest rates stabilized. And of course, the big news today was crude oil. And the market's really keeping an eye on this. And the markets sold off, hit their lows today when crude oil spiked up and got up to 117.63. And the idea here is that if crude oil hits 119, 120, it hits that because there's actual real concern that the war in the Middle East is going to significantly impact shortages. And so if you close above 120 on oil, you buy it because the likelihood from there is that the market is sensing what's going to happen, and we're going to 150. And so it was a big relief to the markets today that, things kind of eased off and all that kind of stuff into the close there. And oil is kind of the new VIX at the moment. In fact, on my internals, you can see I've got, the VIX, the ticks, Aussie yen, advanced decline, and then oil. And of course, oil is, it's one of those things, if you're not keeping an eye on oil and you're day trading the indexes, you're missing out on kind of a key factor there that's running the show. All right, so from there, let's look at a couple of the other, we looked at Nvidia. What I wanted to look at here, let's look at a couple of the financials, like Goldman Sachs, always a good barometer of the markets. Like Apple has held its 200 SMA and, looks good. We're back above the 55. It's better than the market, all the things there. And so that's a good thing. You want to see financials a little bit stronger, in a little bit stronger position there. And then from there, a couple of random ones I wanted to look at. Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I think, is actually near a tradable bottom. If you are looking at something like iBit or something like that, we've stabilized here, and I am looking for, and I think we're going to get a couple of weeks of back and forth here, but the idea that we could actually start working its way back to the 200 SMA, to me, makes a lot of sense. And then last but not least here, looking at gold and silver. Gold here, of course, we bottom tick that 200 SMA, and now we're just kind of grinding back into this resistance level. Gold at this point is not reacting to the war in the Middle East. It is reacting to interest rates, period, end. And so that's really the only story now there is with gold. And so we just want to kind of keep that in mind. So keep an eye here on rates. And so as the 10-year note rate comes down, gold goes up and vice versa. Remember that even if the Fed cuts, the first time the Fed started cutting rates, the long end actually started going up. And so when the Fed's cutting rates, that's only short-term rates. The longer-term rates react to the market themselves. And so you want a combination of seeing things like, you get rate cuts, but more importantly, do you get falling interest rates? Because, you could cut short-term rates, but if the market's like, look, longer-term inflation is going to be hard here, then you kind of get this weird kind of a dichotomy of what's going on there. So just kind of, keeping an eye on that. And that's what we got. So obviously a lot of important things happening kind of in the Middle East. Keep an eye on crude oil. We've got updated cycle dates coming into play as well. All of this, of course, will drive the market action. And if you're thinking is this a good time to allocate funds into kind of a 401k type thing? I think we're still going to be volatile, but I like this area. And frankly, if we fell to 6,000, I'd add more. I'm not looking for anything too serious to the downside, but I'm not looking for, everyone's going to hold hands and start making money to the upside here either. And what does that mean? That just simply means that this is a market for traders, which is perfect. Now, speaking of that, let's look at a couple of Squeeze Ultra setups. Now, for those of you that are students of the Squeeze Ultra, remember that this is, this entire thing here is with the red dots and the yellow dots and everything, that is a Squeeze Ultra. And then when you see the arrow, it tells us that ideal conditions for a squeeze have been met. And generally, I mean, a squeeze is still good, and don't get me wrong, but when there's ideal conditions, what I've noticed in the past is when I would go back and look at my big winners, that those tended to be stronger for the most part. So if you can get the arrows and it rolls into firing with the arrows, that's usually a pretty good sign. So if we look at this as with Caterpillar, it's been in a squeeze for a little bit. We got the arrow today, and it looks poised here. So I like that one. That's one that I just noticed that just came up, and that was one we hadn't seen in a while. And this one is an IBD stock, fix. Same thing here. Nice squeeze. We've been consolidating here. And anytime you see this, any dips into the green zone are buyable. And ideally in a situation like this, you do see, in this case, new trend highs. That's kind of what we're looking for. You can see here, like this time, okay, it retested the highs, and then it took the next squeeze to actually break out to new highs, right? So a couple things like that. And then the other one that popped up here on the list is VSAT. Now this is one that's kind of popped. Again, the ideal entry is always being like, if you see this, a lot of times you're going to be up here. But look, we come back into the zone. That's like reversion to the mean. So that's where you want to buy. And same thing here. It's like, oh my God, it's taking off. But look, it comes back. I mean, that's just very common. So we're here. We got the arrows. And some people ask like, okay, well, what if you place the bid and you don't get filled? Then you don't get filled. The whole point of this is that it becomes edge. It becomes a high probability setup when you combine this plus the entry. So if you have this and you buy it here, you no longer have an edge. Okay. And then if you're here, you come back into the zone. I'm trying to find an example here. I don't really see one, but if you come back into the zone and there's not a squeeze, it can still work, but you don't have as much of an edge, all the things there. So anyway, that's the idea. All right. Let's see. One more thing here. And just want to let everybody know, I'm super excited about this. Taylor is going to be focusing on, we've had a lot of questions about this using micro, because the markets are super volatile right now, right? And while I'm a fan of SPX options, the main issue with options right now, VIX is up. The options are like super inflated. So you've got a lot more premium that you have to deal with. So what's a way to trade directionally without dealing with the premium? Well, you could trade futures. Well, some futures contracts are kind of big and intimidating. So that's where the micro futures come in. And they're super, super, super manageable. So Taylor's going to do training on this to show how he uses them. This is going to be this upcoming Wednesday, April 8th from 6 to 7 p.m. Central. Just throw in your email there. And he's going to talk about how he's wiring out daily income, low stress trading. He's married. He can't be stressed about trading and then have to try to talk to his lovely wife, right? So you got to do low stress. His A+ setup, which I really, really like, and all the things there. So that's what he'll be looking at. Should be a lot of fun, and looking forward to seeing it. All right, you guys and gals, have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you at the next update.